Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a bit about a couple different things. First things first, I remember seeing on the internet some story about what's called the Silver Showcase. I think this was something that came out like last week or a week and a half ago or something, and apparently it's sort of like this sort of it reminds me a lot of the Invitational, except they're only inviting like was it 8 people? Although I think like half of them are Hearthstone streamers or former Magic players or both, and they're going to Rochester draft like beta Arabian Nights, Antiquities, and Legends. I mean that's kind of cool, um, but especially since they're giving them a whole bunch of money. I think it was like, let's see, it'll host a very special event featuring 8 players, $150,000, and a Rochester draft. So yeah, I got eight people, and the prize breakdown is like first is 35K, second is 25K, third and fourth is 20K, fifth through eight is 12.5K, so 12,500. I mean that's cool and all, but I don't understand. Like, why don't they just put more money into the actual, like, professional sort of scene? Like, look at. I mean, have you even looked at? I mean, again, if you don't pay attention to, the professional Magic stuff, but look at the payouts for GPs. Like, they've increased it even, and it's just so bad. I mean, it really is bad compared to any sort of other esport. Obviously, Magic isn't an esport really, even though how much they want to be with like Magic Online or Arena or whatever the heck they're gonna do next. But yeah, their professional support is really bad, especially since like you have to, like in real life, you need to like get traveling fees and get a hotel and book that in advance, and then it all costs money, and the EV is just not very good unless you're top aiding all the time, every single one. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, I the only time I go to like a Legacy GP, but other than that, like I mean, that's just because I like to play Legacy, and would like to play against other people, and I think that'd be sweet. But I mean, that's just because I really like the format. It's not worth it to try and use it to like make money from it or whatever. Like it's just so not very good, not very good. So it almost feels kind of like a slap in the face, since like it's only 8 random people and they're doing this mostly just I guess to bring more attention to it. They should just, I don't understand, why did they get rid of the Invitational? I mean, this thing is so stupid. Like you're gonna draft all these cool old cards, that's really sweet, but then they're selling off the cards and then donating the money to Child's Play. Like, why don't they just let the people keep the cards? I mean, and then like give the money to the charity. Why would you go through all that? This doesn't make any sense. Like, what the hell is Wizards doing? Like, this is stupid. Like, I don't understand why. It's dumb. Just bring back the Invitational. The Invitational was fun. You can have Rochester drafts or other fun things at the Invitational. I liked all the weird formats. Like, maybe bring back Block Party. That might be kind of fun. Jamming all these different block decks against each other. That might be kind of interesting. Or the no ban list modern, although that format's pretty much just like Eldrazi or bust, it looks like. That's pretty dumb. But I mean, there's a lot of different things, like maybe a no ban list modern but for Legacy. Now that would be sweet, although obviously modified. You don't really want to obviously take off all the cards, but I don't want to get into that or anything. But like, there's different options, there's different formats you could do, and the Invitational was cool. It was fun watching because you rooted for people. Like, oh, you really like this guy. Oh, I like John Finkel. I mean, of course, I'm an old school Magic player, so I love Finkel. And it's like you want to root for them, but then like, oh, this other guy you don't really like that much or whatever, don't particularly care for, but he has this really cool design for cards, you want him to win. I'm like, oh, that's cool and interesting. And that was the fun part, was like making the cards or whatever. I mean, it, it's so, I don't understand, like, why they just keep screwing up. This is stupid. Like, this Silver Showcase thing is just stupid. Like they don't even. This is it's dumb. Like the oh I open up these cool cards. Oh just kidding, I don't get to keep them. Okay. Okay. Like that's half the fun of opening all it. Just stupid. That's dumb. I mean, it's bring back the Invitational, not this thing. Like, I mean, there's a lot more excitement over the Invitational. Get to make cool new cards. I mean, good lord. This is just ridiculous. It's just a waste. So, whatever. Oh well, I guess. Let's go to the next thing. Something that makes me a lot happier. Checking out the new core set. It's supposed to be released like a week from now, 13th or something. I think the pre-release is this weekend. So, pretty good. There's a lot of cards I actually like in it. Just starting at white, going down. Got like a Johnny, Adversary Tyrants. I think he's pretty good. He's very similar to the other 4-mana white planeswalkers like Elspeth or whatnot, and it's got good starts at 4 loyalty, can buff creatures or return a creature with his minus, or his ultimate makes a bunch of cats at the end step. So that's pretty good. I think this guy's good. I think he'll definitely see play. He seems pretty good in like those History Benalia decks. Just like, oh boy, start buffing up your knights. That seems pretty cool. Probably not going to see Legacy play, but he's still pretty good. I don't know, maybe he'll see some play in Modern, but definitely in Standard. Cleansing Nova I like, basically Austere Command. Slightly less flexible, but one cheaper. So I like this card a lot in Commander. So it's pretty sweet. Good sweeper. I like Isolate. I think that seems more like a Modern or Legacy card. I think it's pretty sweet. So yeah, it allows you to exile any permanent with converted mana cost 1 at instant speed for just a white. So that's pretty sweet. I don't know if it's main deck or sideboard play, but I think it'll see play somewhere eventually. I think it's a pretty sweet card. There's a bunch of knight stuff which I don't really care. That's a pretty boring tribe and no one really cares about it. Some angel stuff, which is pretty cool. Remorseful Cleric is really good. That's definitely like a death and taxes, like green-white utility sort of stealth, like Maverick or whatever would really like this guy. It's pretty good. I mean, basically 2-mana 2/1 flyer, and then crypts someone. Tormod's crypts them, so that's pretty sweet. It's another good card. I like it a lot. It's really nice that it's flying, so it can really get in for a lot of extra damage, or you could even block a Delver or whatever, which is really good. That's the way a lot of these tempo decks beat you, is just tempoing you out with Delver, so being able to like actually have another dude to block a flip Delver is pretty good. Then there's a cycle of horses and stuff, which are all pretty cool. I think they're all pretty good. I like the black one and the white one. The white one's the Shield Mare, 3-mana 2/3, can't be blocked by red creatures. When it enters the battlefield, it becomes a target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, you gain 3 lives. So that's pretty cool. I like all the horses. I don't know, I think that's a cool creature type to use. That's pretty sweet. Let's see, what we got for blue? Just a lot of good reprints. Divination, Cancel, Disperse. That's, mostly just for Standard, obviously. But that's cool, that's good, and some interesting clone stuff that might be cool in Commander or somewhere else or whatever. Like Metamorphic Alteration, which is a creature enchantment 1, 2 mana. Excuse me. And Mirror Image, which is a 3 mana 1, but it only enters as a copy of a creature you control. Mistcaller is pretty good. Again, anti-show and tell or reanimator tech for Merfolk decks, or I guess any sort of blue deck, although they might have better answers. But Mistcaller seems pretty good in Merfolk, since it's just 1 mana and just have to sack it for free. Mystic Archaeologist, the 2-mana 2/1 that you can pay 5 and draw 2 cards. That seems pretty cool. That's a rare? Seems more like an uncommon. I don't know, but that seems pretty cool. I guess it's more of a commander card. Some other commander stuff, like obviously Omniscience, One with the Machine, the Psy Master Thopterus guy. Oh yeah, new Tezra's pretty good. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he. I mean, obviously he's pretty good in Legacy. All the Tezrats have been pretty good in that way, or in Vintage, of course, the original one. Be able to tinker up Vault Key. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, all the Supreme Phantom for the Spirits Tribal dot deck. That's pretty cool. Let's see. I like Bone Dragon. Now we're moving on to black stuff. Bone Dragon's pretty cool. I don't know. I don't think if that like that'd be really sweet in Dredge if it was like 2 mana, and then the Exile, and then that would be sweet. But that's okay. I think it could be good somewhere. But I like it as a casual card. It's just cool. I'm surprised that name wasn't taken. Bone Dragon. Ah, that's great. Some good zombie stuff like the Graveyard Marshal guy. That's pretty cool. The new Liliana is again more zombie tribal stuff, which is sweet. Open the Graves. I guess that's more of just an anti sweeper card for Commander, but that's cool. I've heard people say good stuff about Stitcher Supplier. I think it has a lot of synergy with graveyard stuff. You can use it to flashback therapy, cool stuff like that. Let's see. I guess Alpine Moon for red cards is like, whatever. You know, I mean, I guess it's like a very targeted sort of Blood Moon effect. But, I don't know. It's cool looking card, but I don't really, I mean, it's too narrow, and most sideboards are full of cards that need to be less narrow. Unless you really need to target a particular deck. Let's see, some interesting red stuff. Goblin Instigator's basically a Mogmore Marshal without the Echo, and creates one less body. Goblin Trash Master. This guy's good. This will be played in Goblins, at least in Legacy, because it takes up basically occupies the same spot that Chieftain would, as well as a Tuk Tuk Scrapper. So the same cost as a Tuk Tuk Scrapper. It pumps your team, and then this just crushes the Stoneblade and Death and Taxes, mostly because their decks are really dependent upon getting value out of those equipment, or Vile, especially in Death and Taxes case. So this is very good against them, and it's immune to Sweeper. So unlike Chieftain, it doesn't die to Pyroclasm, and so it'll save your other 2 toughness, normally 2 toughness like Ringleaders and Pile Drivers and stuff from Pyroclasm 2, because this guy doesn't die, so they won't die. So that's really good. So I could see playing 1 main, 1 board or something. But yeah, I definitely actually like this guy main, because normally I like to play a Chieftain, and then a lot of metas require you to play Tuk Tuk, so this is it saves you a spot. So this is really good. Trash Master's awesome. There's really not much to really say about the guy. He's a lot better than I thought he was, so he's good. Obviously, really great synergy with Mogmore Marshal. Pretty sweet. There's the dragon, the Lathlis, the Dragon Queen. That's pretty cool. 6-man, 6/6 flyer. Whenever a non-token dragon ETB, you get a 5/5, and then you can pay a red and colors to pump your dragons. +1/+0. Give them all group fire breathing. That's cool. Sarkhan, I guess, would be cool in a dragon deck, or maybe standard dragon thing. Thud, which is just fleeing but sorcery speed. That's cool. Let's see here. Volley Red Run is kind of interesting. I think it's more of a card for Commander, like for Krenko or something. It's a little slow, even though it's an FTK for Goblins. You probably just want to play another more Gem Palms or something. But that's okay. Let's see. Oh, the 2-mana green Elf Lord. That guy's really sweet. I like that card a lot. I mean, it's finally, green never had an Elf Lord at 2 mana, which seems a little strange. I guess Goblins doesn't have one either, but that's okay. This is a good one. I like this card a lot. It's a little oppressed by Goblin Chain Whirler in Standard at the moment, but who knows? Um, Gigantosaurus. Okay, this card's amazing. Probably my favorite card in the set. It's 5 mana 10/10. I'm totally putting this in my Gishath deck. I mean, this is amazing. It's a 10/10. The art is him. Look at that thing. He's eating a dragon. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is amazing. I'm really happy they're putting like random dinosaurs in occasionally, just like when appropriate. Like we had, the territorial Allosaurus and Dominaria, which is awesome. I love that card. I mean, this is so cool. There's something about like how, for some reason, like a lot of the dinosaur stuff seems to really fit in very well. Like at least in obviously an Ixalan block that was made specifically for it, but like in like Dominaria too, of course. I don't know. It feels very natural, and it feels like this is sort of like a better thing than like Hydras in some ways. But like, because it seems like you can have like you have small dinosaurs and big dinosaurs, and you can easily have dinosaurs of every color. I don't know. I think it's really cool. It seems good. I'm glad they added it. It's like one of the things they did right. Boy, I love Gigantosaurus. This thing is sweet. Sweet, baby. Oh boy. Yeah, let's see. What else we got? Oh yeah, another dinosaur. The second one they added was Runic Armosaur. This card could possibly see play in Legacy because 3 mana 2/5, which is sweet, and it draws you cards when they activate an ability that's when an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. So that's sweet. Blocks well, draws you a bunch of cards. I mean, that's awesome. This is sweet. And I like all the like random sort of hate bear-esque kind of dinosaur things, like Ferocidon, in Commander, of course, because they can draw you a bunch of cards, draw you answers. Obviously, Ferocidon shuts down infinite life stuff and infinite token creature stuff, which is pretty sweet. I like Thorn Lieutenant, at least in standard, because it's mana sink, and it's pretty good. It makes your dudes a little bit more resilient to removal, because you can make dudes. This is such a sweet set. I'm actually pretty happy about it. And then obviously all the legendary dragons, which all have their place, I think. I mean, especially Arcades, who is like, I'll probably make a deck with that guy. I mean, that's awesome. There's so many good, like, old weird things, like Glacial Wall and stuff. Like 3 mana, 0/7. So good. And then, yeah, just getting card pop with them. I mean, that is sweet. That's so cool. I mean, all the dragons are like, they look all really cool. Obviously, Nicol Bolas is probably the best one, because it's, easily castable, and then late game you can flip it into like some stupid powerful planeswalker. But there's a lot of good reprints in here. Obviously Crucible and Escape Shift. It's pretty sweet. I like Desecrated Tomb. I just like the idea of making bats, and it's sort of like anti-graveyard hate. I like that kind of sort of cycle of escalation. Like, oh well, I'll bring this in. Well, no, I'll bring this in to whatever, Or if it's just something you could abuse in your own deck or whatever. It's kind of interesting. Makes tokens with like Icrid, although most of the dredge decks aren't going to be having 3 mana to cast this guy. Dragon's Horde, that's so cool. Thing is, it's basically just 3 mana rock, and then you can draw cards later in the game, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. The rest of the stuff, I mean, reprint of Reliquary Tower, that's pretty nice. I'm actually pretty happy. It looks really good. A lot of good reprints. High Dollar, Omniscience, Escape Shift, Crucible, very, very good. Even Reliquary, because that's kind of expensive. So this will bring that price down a little bit. So a good set. I don't think I'll buy it. I bought some singles, but not really gonna buy a box. But it's pretty good stuff. I'm pretty happy with it. So, and now let's go to the next thing, which is well, I guess not too hard to figure out what that is. So they had new Band of Restricted come out this Monday, or past Monday, and there was no changes except for Legacy, which DRS and Probe got banned. So not really a surprise, too much. I mean, well, there's, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? I mean, they've been so. In a lot of ways, I'm ambivalent, and in other ways, I'm rather like annoyed at this change. I mean, it's not like these cards didn't deserve. I mean, Taxian Probe was like a pretty broken card. I mean, it's a pretty stupid card. But obviously, not every deck played it. It's mostly just like, well, there was the main decks that played it was like Ant, or the Storm decks played it, and then there's Grixis Delver, of course, played it too. So it had a lot of like synergy with a lot of decks. Young Pyromancer, obviously Cabal Therapy is a big one too. Filled the graveyard up for free, added the Storm count, all for low cost of nothing. It's a free peak. I mean, it wasn't broken yet, but I guess they're like, well, it could be a problem in the future or something, I guess. I mean, it's a pretty dumb card, like, by most metrics, although, I mean, they banned it. I mean, I don't know, it's the kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. DRS obviously was pretty much all over the place, really top 10, top 5, I think. Most played card in the format. It was good in blue decks, good in non-blue decks. It enabled a bunch of decks. I mean, stuff like Jund and Food Chain and Allurn probably aren't going to be good anymore. I mean, they were kind of like tier 2-ish, tier 3 kind of decks or whatever, not exactly the best. I guess they better to describe them as fringe decks. But now they're a lot worse. I mean, just you can't really replace them with like Birds of Paradise, because I mean, obviously it's pretty big distance between those two cards. Deathrite did a lot. Didn't really matter if you drew extra Deathrites. It just means you're draining them for more, gaining more life or whatever. So yeah, that's. I mean, the why now? I mean, the reasoning they give for all these ban things. You've been paying attention the last like 10 years. I mean, there's just the loosest sort of haphazard. I mean, what is even going on? Like, none of this makes any sense. I mean, like, why did they not unban anything? Like, why is Mind Twist on there, for Christ's sake? Oh god, it's just it's strange. There's total haphazard ban list, like, of the cards, not only of the cards that are on it, obviously, like the aforementioned Mind Twist and Earthcraft and Frantic Search or whatever, but what about the cards that are off it? Obviously, like Brainstorm and Ponder and all these other cards that are certainly, like, these are apparently pillars of the format. I mean, I guess we can assume that Fetch Lands and Brainstorm, Ponder, Force, Wasteland, I guess Preordained 2, it fills in that as well. These are all, like, by any metric, they're okay. These are pillars. What about Swords? What about Bolt? I guess these are too. I mean, I guess those are, regardless of their usage. Again, duels, all the fetches, I guess these are all right. I mean, right? Like, we don't know. I mean, we have to assume they are, but there's no logic for this. I mean, the reasons they've been giving, like, oh, the Gentleman's Agreement. Oh, yeah, the Gentleman's Agreement. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, you probably forgot because it was stupid. It's the dumbest, oh my god, just the freaking brainlets they have working at this place. I mean, this is just, what methodology do they even have? Everything is so opaque. Like, nothing makes sense. I mean, it's sort of like, there's no connective tissue between any of their decisions. It's just all, like, ad hoc. And the biggest thing, the one that I'm worried about the most, is that we've entered, like, we're having this modern sort of banning thing, where they're like, well, we'll just ban these cards and we don't like this and the meta is too stale. It's like, well, it's an eternal format. Like, the meta is always going to sort of not really be, super, it's going to move really, really slow. But, like, so they banned Top because Top was, they didn't like Top or whatever. And then you had Grixis Delver and all the Deathrite decks, and like, well, there's too many of those. I mean, sure, these were being kept in check by Miracles, but now we got to ban those. And so the one deck that was literally kept in check by Deathrite Shaman just existing, like Blue-Black Reanimator, which is why Black-Red Reanimator was a big thing was because they could go under Deathrite. They could, combo out like, ritual out and or unmask their Deathrite or something, and so they can combo out on turn 1 or 2 before Deathrite becomes unsummoning sick. But now without that, obviously the more consistent version of Reanimator is blue-black Reanimator, and so now people will have to devote a lot of sideboard space to graveyard hate. And the only thing I'm worried about is what if it's like, okay, this is too good, this is too powerful, too fast, making too many crystal brands. I mean, so then we have to ban that. And it's like, we have there's a high risk of we're going to have cascading bans because we're just going to have to keep banning the next thing that keeps everything. I mean, it seems like they don't understand, like, everything. A lot of this stuff is kind of it's sort of like a delicate sort of balance, and then moving just one piece can have enormous effects, and it seems like they don't care or aren't aware, or, I mean, maybe they do know. We don't know their ban philosophy. I mean, I've talked about this before, but, like, the fact that there's no, like, transparency with that is very frustrating and pretty worrisome, because it seems like there is no philosophy. Like, I mean, there is, I guess. Some things are pillars of the format, but is that a list you can get on and off? I mean, Brainstorm is. It's the only one that we know for certain. So is it always going to be? Or what? I mean, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't think they know what the fuck they're doing at all. And in anything. Like, God. Well, whatever. I mean, I don't think Reanimator probably isn't going to be some sort of super boogeyman or something, or maybe something else will pop up. I mean, everything's so in flux right now. It's hard to say what's going to be good and what's not going to be good. I think people are a little too optimistic in thinking, like, oh, going to go back to, pre-Deathrite and whatever, I think the best thing for this is to illustrate this point is, like, how people are like, oh yeah, goblins will be really, really good. I think Jim Davis had a pretty good article today talking about, like, reasons why goblins will be good and reasons, it won't be good. And I think he more or less hits upon it. I think the biggest thing, though, what Deathrite was not the whole blocking of Lackey thing, because, I mean, you just play a bunch of tar fires and kill the dudes or whatever, and you can connect with Lackey that way. But it was especially since it made a lot of your mana, all of your wastelands and ports worse, and it jumped them up, ahead of turn where normally they wouldn't be able to do that. Goblins is pretty slow and dirty, especially when faced with any disruption, so it can grind, but obviously it's going to take time. So other decks being faster is definitely a problem. So, like, no Deathrite is good. That, I mean, I guess you can connect with Lackey more often, obviously. I think it's better that you just don't have to play a bunch of tar fires, and you can play more gem palms now. Things are going to be a little slower, which is good, but I mean, the deck is just worse. I think the best thing that Jim Davis said was, like, how every other deck has just gotten more and more and more tools all the time, and this deck just gets a new card every decade or something, maybe. I mean, Trashmaster is probably the best one since Mog War Marshal, and Marshal's pretty good. It's not really a staple, but it's probably pretty close. I mean, obviously Cavern was really good, but yeah, I'm not particularly sure. I think Goblins would probably be playable now, or at least more playable, but I mean, it depends on how everything turns out. If there's a lot more combo decks, that could be a problem. At least if it is Reanimator, at least you can play like Caracas main, you can play a bunch of Graveyard Hate, you can play Sting Scourger main. There's a ton of good Graveyard Hate. If there's a lot more Storm and stuff, that could be more of a problem, because I guess the best card against Storm would probably be Thalia. That's kind of a wonky card to cast sometimes. So, I don't know. I mean, it does look pretty interesting for Legacy now. I mean, I don't think Stoneblade's going to be very good, but I think people will probably play it. I mean, Death and Taxes looks a lot better, but I guess you can play Trashmaster now and not give a shit about, like, their artifacts to prop up their garbage creatures. Like, no one really cares, so that's good. That'll make those matches like pretty lopsided, I think. Especially since it'll give you more time to set up like sharpshooter and other stupid stuff, develop your board. So that's cool. I mean, I'll probably play goblins or something again. So that looks pretty sweet. Probably get rug as, I guess the better sort of, the best sort of Delver deck, probably. Maybe some sort of Grixis thing is better, who knows. I think the Dark Depths, the Turbo Depths deck looks really, really good, especially since like it looks like all the blue decks are slower without Deathrite, so that's really good. And it loses basically nothing, and it already crutches the blue decks or whatever, so that's pretty nice. I mean, hopefully that doesn't become a problem, but we'll see. I mean, it doesn't like white decks, but who knows? Maybe it'll be able to run like Dread of Night or something in its board now. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens, but that could be another one, along with Reanimator. Maybe Turbo Depths could become an issue. And if we look at the Taxium Probe banning, you don't even need to be overly dominant for them to ban a card from a combo deck, because, oh, I don't know, this might be too good or something later or whatever, There's sort of weird pseudo logic. I don't know. It's like, well, Turbo Depth's doing really good, and I don't know, people are making too many Merit Lages, so we ban Dark Depths, or I mean, who knows, right? It's not like Ant was dominating anything. So I mean, who knows? It's kind of in a weird place now. We might have, might have to keep banning stuff, and because stuff just keeps getting knocked out and other things come up that are a problem. I mean, I just say there's a bunch of stuff. Basically, to wrap this up, what I would do, give me back Probe, give me back Deathrite, give me back Top, give me back Survival, give me back, well, Recruiter, Earthcraft, and all this other stuff. Well, I guess I'm working on some of that other stuff that I want back too, but yeah, spoiler alert, I want Recruiter back, but I'll make a video on that later. Anyways, bring all this stuff back. And I guess my philosophy, I have more of a developed philosophy than Wizards does, or the DCI for that matter, so I'm more libertarian. I want more cards. People being able to play more cards is good, and having, like, if Miracles, we'll say we go back to the Miracles thing, it's a Miracles meta. It's like, well, if we unban Frantic Search, you got all the post decks, which are like 90-10 against Miracles or something, and Frantic Search just makes that better. Of course, them also being able to have Top makes it really, really good. Goblins is already like 70-30 versus Miracles, and being able to play Recruiter probably makes it so you never lose. Like, you'd have to play carefully, and think a couple heads in advance or whatever, with like, saving your matrons or shuffling with fetch lands or whatever after your dudes get Terminus, but you could just Recruiter and just play out infinity dudes and you never run out of gas. So I think that would be interesting. I think that would be a better state, but whatever. This thing has gone on long enough, and I'm just so pretty annoyed by this whole thing. But at least the new core set looks good. At least they can sometimes make a new good set. So Dominaria was good. The core set looks good. People have normal hair in this one. I didn't see too much weird hair, so that's good. That's good art. So yeah, a little annoyed, but that's okay. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Definitely a pretty interesting week. Legacy looks pretty fun now. I mean, I'm a little skeptical that we'll go back to any sort of 2010-ish, sort of stuff. I don't think we'll be seeing Zoo, but I would love to be wrong about that. I'd love to be wrong about a lot of things. I hope we aren't going to have this cascading, like, uncontrolled, like, metagame where everything sort of degenerates, and that would be bad. But, oh well. Anyways, that's okay. So, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you later.